Welcome to Scuderia Ferrari Racing News. Let's talk with Stefano Domenicali, Scuderia Ferrari team principal, to make an assessment of the Japanese Grand Prix, with talks already turned to the next race in Korea.
Well, I think that in terms of performance, the outcome of the race here in Japan was really good. We were fighting and this second place showed that we were really competitive. And this is the right approach that we need to keep also for the next 4 races, not only in Korea. So the objective is, as we said, to maximize the points, to try to focus on a win that is possible, and to fight for the second place for Fernando in the Driver Championship, because it's an objective that is still very important, because keep it up the motivation, not only for the drivers but also for the team. Fantastic, I mean, perfect, no mistake, always focus in trying to manage the best way that he can the tires, so really fantastic. I think that Felipe did a great weekend, and it was a shame that after the contact that he had with Hamilton, he broke parts of his car, so it was difficult for him in the second part of it to try to match the pace that he was in this pocket, because we have seen not only qualified but also in the first couple of laps he was very fast, and it's a shame because he deserved for sure a better position. I think that for sure the learning curve process that we are facing this year with the effect of the exhaust plus the behavior of the new tires is something that our technician has to understand in a proper way in order to maximize, this experience to make sure that next year everything is much clearer. I think that we will try to bring in Korea something that can be useful to understand the better performance of the car in 2012, and I think this is the target. Target for the race, as I said, minimum podium, and try to do a little step better than what we did here in Japan. I will tell you after what we achieved, if we will achieve.
Going into the Korean Grand Prix, we met Andrea Stella, Fernando Alonso race engineer, to explain what is needed to tackle to the track where the Spaniard won the inaugural race 1 year ago.
The circuit in Korea is one of the most interesting of the championship, especially from the technical point of view. I will put it together with Suzuka, Spa and Silverstone. It has a lot of low-speed corners, but since it's also a long track, you can find high-speed change of direction, medium-speed change of direction, hard braking, especially in the first part of the circuit. So you need to have to be very competitive, a very efficient car from the aerodynamic point of view, because not only downforce is important, you need to develop the speed in the first part of the circuit, in sector 1, to be competitive. Last year in Korea was a very interesting and intense weekend, because first of all we approached a completely new track without knowing exactly what to expect, new asphalt. In the beginning it was very slippery and the tires, they were falling apart in a few laps, so we were a bit concerned about the tires in free practice 1, I remember. Then the situation started to become more normal in free practice 2. The driver got used to the track, and I remember that we were pretty competitive in dry conditions in qualifying. We were satisfied with being third on the grid, only 2 tenths away from Vettel in pole position. And then Sunday was a long day with a massive amount of rain, which forced the start under safety car, several laps behind the safety car. We finished the race with the darkness, basically. And many things happened during the race. The two more important, they were the fact that Webber lost the car and went out of the race. And then the second one was the engine failure for Vettel. Thanks to these two episodes, a bit lucky from our side, we could win the race, which was a great satisfaction to win the first race in Korea. And it was a great satisfaction looking at the classification because we took the lead of the championship, and this was very important to fight until the end. Outside the track it was interesting as well because I didn't even know what to expect going to Korea. We didn't go to a big city, we went almost in I mean it was a small city, but somehow it looked like you could see the real Korea, no? So I was very interested in understanding how people live, what they do for a living. And thanks to the fact that many people there, they can speak English, it was easy also to, you know, understand a bit speaking to the real people living there. And I found it very interesting. Then we found good places to go and eat for dinner. We went to several times to an Italian restaurant where food was good, but it was run from Korean people, so it was an interesting exchange of experiences, which is what makes interesting also the part of this job outside the track.
And now let's see what happened in between races with Diego Ioverno, Head of Track Operations.
Let's go! Let's go!
In the overseas races, the organization is very important between one race and the following one. First of all, it's very important to organize in detail the car rebuild. So at the end of the first race, the car is checked, every part is inspected, and what needs to be sent back to the factory needs to be repacked and shipped, and the car needs to be put together at least in a sensible way to be transferred, because by agreement the car has to be transferred always on the four wheels. Then when you arrive in the following race garage, let's say you have to build up again everything, so garage, offices and so on, and start the real preparation of the car. So it's quite a massive job, and it's important to organize also the people, how they will operate, who will do what, both in the phase of the car operation related, both in the phase of the garage and the equipment management. The back-to-back overseas is even more challenging because the time available between one event and the following one is very narrow. So normally it's important first of all to start the first event already well prepared, possibly with the majority of the parts in the car. They can do two races just rebuilt, fitted in the car so they can stay. And immediately after the race, when the car are back, you start straight away the preparation of the car itself for the next race. As soon as the preparation is at a decent point so the car can be shipped, everyone is helping, everyone, mechanic, track engineer is helping to strip down the garage, offices, and all the stuff has to be put back in pallet, truck shaft and cargo in order to be ready to be sent. At the stage the team can travel, and the travel is mainly the only part in which you can rest a bit. Then you sleep where you arrive, if you are lucky. And the day after you start again, stripping down, unpacking everything, and you finish up the preparation of the car after having built up the garage and the offices, and you are ready to start again. In a back-to-back overseas, when you are lucky, you have 1 day of travel and 1 night of sleep, if you are lucky. For Formula 1, I think numbers are quite impressive. If you consider that in average by cargo, an F1 team must send between 20 and 30 tons, and around 10 to 15 tons by sea freight. Is something that can be the small team 25, 30 tons in total, and the big team are more. And all this stuff include the garage building, the offices, the car related equipment, Everything has to be unpacked when you arrive and repacked at the end of the event. If you consider that in average are around 40-50 people that are involved in this operation, it means that more or less everyone has to move 1 ton each start and each finish of the event.
And with this we have concluded. See you next time.